Hello, hello. Welcome back, everyone. I am Natalie Cutler-Welsh, your host for the Up Your Brave live stream series. I cannot believe we are on episode number, whatever it is, 11, I think, at the moment, diving through these topics. And the overall goal, well, my intention at least, is to bring you amazing guest speakers who collectively we can raise the state of resilience, health, and happiness on a global scale. And I'm pretty excited to do that because I feel like now more than ever, we do need resilience in our life, in our business, in our job, in our marriage. And those are the kind of topics that we've been covering. So if you've missed some of the episodes, you can check them out anytime you like. It's nataliecutlerwelsh.com/video series. And as always, I'll be taking notes. So you can sit back, relax, and enjoy and get inspired today because the topic we're doing, I think, is so timely. We're just going into level 2 here. People are a little bit scared. They're like, what is going on in the world? I'm about to embark back into the new normal. What does it look like? We're doing mindset and motivation. Let me introduce you to my guests. Let's go. Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Awesome. I'm glad you all got the memo about wearing blue. Yes. Actually got my blue underneath it today. So I'm really excited to have you guys. So you guys, we have Deb Workman all the way from Tauranga joining us today, speaker and coach. We've got Lauren from Palmerston North. Is that right? Speaker and author as well. And then we've got Nick Hoyle, who runs an amazing business Facebook community. I'm going to get him to tell you about that as well. He's been through the journey of business a couple of times. How are you doing, Nick?
Yeah, I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Good. So good. All right. So you guys, this is how we roll on this panel. Like what I'm going to do is do a little bit of an intro on each of my beautiful guests, and then I'll get them to dive into their tips. So they've come prepared today with a couple of tips to share with you. So as always, if you're watching in the live stream, in the replay, or you're watching live, go ahead, let us know geographically where you are. And maybe let us know how your mindset is. Maybe one word, like how is your mindset at the moment? Let us know about that. So let's hear about Deb. Deb Workman is one of the leading experts in living and leading a successful life. So she has worked actually originally for Air New Zealand in the corporate space and is passionate about success because success for a lot of people is elusive. So I'm interested to hear a little bit more about that. So she's learned a lot about love and connection. I know you've been on your own journey. I'm excited to hear a little bit about that. So Deb, I know you've done tons of training. You've got lots of certificates and things. I would love you to elaborate. Tell us a little bit more about yourself in terms of mindset and motivation, and then dive right into your first tip.
Cool. Thank you, Nat. Morning, everyone. I'm Deb Workman, as Nat's kindly introduced me. What I mean by that bio of what success means for you is we have all different versions of success. If someone was to take a snapshot of me 3 years ago, they would probably say, oh, she's pretty successful. She's got the house, she's got the hubby, she's got the car, she's got the children, she's got the job, she's got the money, tick, tick, tick. Little did they know on the inside, I had no freaking clue who I was. Like I was running around looking for anything to fill that void of satisfaction. I was addicted to dissatisfaction, had no freaking clue that I was. And so that's what inspired me to embark on my own mindset journey to find out, because I was looking outside of myself for all the answers. And then when I started embarking and peeling back the layers, I realized all the answers were inside. I just stopped listening somewhere through my course of life. Whether it was my childhood, whether it was my time in my teenage years, I just stopped listening to my body and my mind was running the show and it wasn't doing me well. It wasn't serving me. So with that intro, I'd like to give you one of the tips that really helped me along the way with all the tools and all my life experiences. And it starts in the mornings. So every morning I wake up and I have my power hour. And that power hour is not going to the gym and lifting weights and doing all that crazy stuff. Sorry if Nick's heading to the gym after this, yes. But my power hour is actually waking up around 6 a.m., meditating for 20 minutes. And then I get up and I do Wim Hof. I don't know if you've heard of him. He does an 11-minute breathing technique where you really get present in your breath. YouTube, 11-minute clip, Wim Hof. Highly recommend. And then hubby and I get up and we take our dog and ourselves for a walk for around 4 Ks. And what I love about the walk is I'm outside in nature, so I'm feeling a lot clearer with myself. I'm exercising and I'm actually talking to my husband. Like we're not distracted by anything. We're actually present with each other. And it's such a meaningful experience to me. By the time I get home, I'm ready to go. My mindset's at 110%. My happiness is through the roof. Some of my kids actually wake up and go, God, chill out, Mum. what are you on? Why are you so happy? And it's purely because I found my power hour that is right for me, that is meaningful for me, and that creates the results I want every day of my life. So that's my number one tip. If you can, find your power hour and do whatever it is that fills you up. Not what you see on TV, not what you see on social media, but that what resonates for you. So for me, it's meditation, it's breathing, and it's going for a walk.
Awesome. I love that. And I love how you talked also about filling the void, because I think other people will also relate to that, running around trying to fill the void. So maybe we can elaborate on that later as well. Power hour. Amazing. I wrote down, I'm going to go check out that YouTube clip. That sounds really good. And what I'll do, you guys, what I'll do is I'll get Deb to send me the link, make it easy. And then we'll make sure that we include that for you guys today. So that'll be cool. Okay, let's go to Lauren. So Lauren, it's so exciting. I was telling Deb last night, we had a little chat before this, and I said, I met Lauren when I did this, my Go-To Girl networking night in Wellington, which was probably 6 years ago or something. And I met Lauren, and it was just so much fun and so smart, and and we became business friends, and it's just been so exciting to watch your journey. I know that you have done tons of speaking, you've been in the media, and then you moved to Canada, where I'm originally from, for about a year, and you got on TV there and did a lot. So I'm so excited for you to share some of that with our people today. Here I go. I'm going to read a little bit of Lauren's bio. Lauren is an award-winning well-being specialist who believes that everyone deserves to thrive. Yes, she is passionate about equipping and inspiring people to truly boost their health and happiness with 20 years experience in the health and well-being profession in New Zealand and internationally. She is a sought-after speaker, coach, and consultant, as well as a TEDx speaker. Welcome, Lauren. So good to have you here. If you can elaborate and then go to your first tip.
Thanks so much, Nat. Yeah, it's been a pleasure actually. Also, likewise, Natalie, watching you, sharing your vision and helping to boost health and happiness. I just so align with that. So thank you so much. My husband has left his cell phone here, so I'm just going to have to turn that on.
The joys of working from home.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, that's not my phone. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, so I'm based in the Manawatu, and I've actually gone the long story short from being the shy, unsporty kid to then helping thousands of people boost their health and happiness. So I used to be a lecturer at the New Zealand College of Fitness and teach anatomy, physiology, personal training. But now what I do is work with workplaces and do workplace wellbeing and help people walk more with the mindset side of things and daily habits. So one of the biggest things that I wanted to share with you was a little tip around motivation. And that is something that I often share, for example, for people that are wanting to get motivated to get moving, to exercise. And it is to focus on the satisfied feeling of completion. So let me just give you an example for this. So if you're thinking of going out for a run, let's say, rather than focusing on pitching yourself out there, pounding the pavement, your lungs are burning, your heart's rate's up, your breathing's going, your muscles are aching, rather than picturing that, actually picture yourself coming back up the drive and just picture how amazing it's going to feel, how proud you'll be, and that wonderful feeling, that focus on that satisfied feeling of completion. And this can apply across the board. You can use this to get your tax return done, focus on how great it's going to be once it's all done and it's sent off and you can just sit back and relax and know that's done for the year. Whether it's making a phone call or having that courageous conversation, if you can focus on the end outcome first, what that will do is switch on your internal motivation to help you get started, to get the shoes on, to get out the door. And before you know it, you will be running back up that driveway feeling so proud. So I'm really into the science of behavior change. I love James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, and his little idea of the 1% change and shaping your environment around you. So if you can shape the environment and then switch on your internal motivation with that tip, you will be able to make those habits stick over the long term. So that's my first tip for you today.
I can definitely relate to that. I was actually running, which I don't do a lot of because my daughter was, or my son was on the bike and I was trying to keep up and I had the dog pulling me. And yeah, my lungs were burning, my legs were hurting. So I like your tip. I'm going to focus on the end and not just the actual moment of agony. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Lauren. And speaking of fitness, I know that Nick is heading off to the gym after, and a haircut. So for those of you that don't know, Nick interviews a lot of business people on his massive group that he's got. I was actually honored to be a guest a few weeks ago, and I didn't want to put him on the spot because it was his show, but now it's my show. And can you please show everyone your hair? Because I know you're getting a haircut.
Yeah, look at it.
Cool. Oh, leave it. Don't get it cut. It's so cool.
Well, I just trim up the edges and just get it under control again. But anyway.
Okay, fine. Just a little bit. All right. Let me tell you a little bit about Nick, and then I'll let him share his tip with us. So Nick Hoyle has been self-employed since
Now I can't do it
2007.
again.
I believe we actually met. We both spoke at the social media conference here in Auckland probably 3 or 4 years ago, and it's been super exciting to watch your journey. He's had a number of different businesses, building his first $1 million business before the age of 30. He's a great networker, yes, and created a huge resource online for New Zealand business owners with over 7,000 businesses interacting in his group monthly. Having been through massive highs and massive lows, his message is simple. Your mindset determines your success. Get that piece right, and the rest will follow. So good to have you on the show. Welcome, Nick.
Thanks. And I just kind of listening to what Deb had to say there, I really just want to echo what she said. I mean, for me, it's definitely not an hour in the morning, but knowing what the things that I need to do on a daily basis to keep myself in that space where I'm enjoying my life and I feel like I'm alert and aware is just, it's, my routine is a little different, and I'm much more night wired, so I'm quite often I'll work at night and things like that. Yeah. But yeah, certainly, I think, and so my tip is around what influences you, and be really, really aware of who the people are that influence you, and do they have a positive effect on you or not. And I think sometimes it's the ones that we're not consciously aware of that can be the biggest thorns in our side. So those are the ones, like maybe it's family, or maybe it's cousins or uncles or aunties or friends of family and things like that that mean well. Because remember, everything that humans do is with a positive intention. Sometimes we're just not aware of the intention of what the underlying intention is. And so I feel like, the last 45 days, I've done a podcast every day or 45 out of 50 days or something like that. And it's been crazy. And so because I was aware of who I was influencing and what was influencing me, I managed to get through that journey. There was a couple of days where it was tough, mindset, mental health, all of that stuff. But because I kind of had good people influencing me, I've got a friend of mine who's a coach that we chat on a weekly, couple of times a week basis. The admin team that I work with, we talk every day or every other day, and really just letting those good influences in. And people like like my sister and my dad, who I love greatly, I only speak to them once or twice a week because I know that they're not on the same journey as me. So we have a catch up and we have a chat, but I don't tell them what I've been up to because I'm aware of my own mindset and how important that is. So I hope someone gets a little value out of that piece there. Yeah.
I think that is such timely advice, especially now when, like I said to my husband the other day, a lot of people are really revisiting how they're going to be spending their money at the moment, right? And I said, I'm also revisiting my time, right? So time, energy, and money, these are our resources. How do we want to actually spend those? And like you said, Nick, it's such a great time to reevaluate who we're going to share, not just our bubble, not just our physical space with, but like our mental capacity as well. So it's like, yep, once or twice a week, that's good for that person. And I'll stick to these topics. And then other people you bring into your life because they feed you and they build you up. Such a good tip.
There's so much content out there right now. I haven't watched a single Netflix show in 28, 45, 50 days or whatever it is, and I've seen people banging on about so many different things. Oh, you've got to watch this. And I'm like, I don't need to watch that. If I'm going to watch something, I'm going to watch, I love watching Shark Tank. I love that show. And you can watch it on YouTube and just watch the way people pitch and things like that. And that's a good influence. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. I call that, what are you feeding yourself? Like, what are you feeding yourself? So I know Deb talked about the YouTube, the 10-minute thing, and Lauren talked about Atomic Habits. It's like, what are you reading? What are you consuming? Not just food, but in your mind, and what are you feeding yourself? So that's a really good tip for sure. Hey, I'll share one of mine with you guys. So I talk a lot. Sometimes I say to my kids, do you have an attitude of gratitude or a crap-attitude? And a crap-attitude is a crap attitude, right? So it's like, I find often if we start focusing on the negative things, and if you guys have followed me for a while, or at least, lately in the past 8 or so months, I talk a lot about the different zones that people find themselves living in or operating in. And last week we did Keeping the Love Alive, where we were really honing in on your actual relationship. But then I also did another session about keeping the love alive in business. But whatever the topic is, the zones are really relevant because we go, hang on a second, what zone am I in? Am I in the should zone, where most of the stuff I'm doing out of duty and obligation, like, oh, and the energy is like this, like, oh God, I should really, it's the should, or I need to do this, or you're using the words should and need. And when you're in that zone, it's very draining. And so I find that sometimes to get out of that should zone, or the next one, which is the frustration zone, where we're actually feeling bitter and resentful and fired up, is to really have that attitude of gratitude, see the good and focus on the positive. And everyone knows this. We know this intellectually, but the point is just actually making it happen. And so I always sometimes say, hang on a second, am I having an attitude of gratitude, or am I having really a crap attitude at the moment? And it's okay to have a pity party now and then. I don't believe we need to be happy 24/7. So talking about mindset and motivation, the goal is not 24/7 happy, I think, but it's how do we want to feel and how do we want to show up? And we are the creators of our own life, the CEO of our own life. So that's my little tip there. Tip 1 from me is just check in with yourself. Do you have a crap attitude or an attitude of gratitude? All right, let's go to Deb for her second tip. And by the way, thank you, Lauren. Go ahead, you guys, please comment if you're watching, even if you're watching the replay. We do come back and we do look at the comments and we can answer you in writing as well. But go ahead if you have any questions. We're more than happy to take those. Thank you, Pauline, Meredith King, for watching as well. All right, Deb.
Hi, so tip number 2, what I'd start with is over the last 3-4 years that I've invested in myself personally, professionally, and developed, as we talked about my mindset, is I got in rapport with writing goals. I never would write goals in the past. It was something I was definitely motivated away from. So I started writing goals because I have this belief, if I know what I want and if I know what I'm focused on, there's more chance of it coming to me than sort of floundering through life and hoping for the best, hoping for the pay rise, hoping for the promotion. So I started writing goals. And then what happened recently is I listened to Joe Vitale, and he mentioned the power and the visual representation of your goals. And so I'm going to share with you the 4 steps that have been really powerful for myself in manifesting more of what I want to bring in. And I'll do the simplified version. So step number 1, he says, start with your intention. What is it that you want? Be really clear on what it is. When you state it, make sure there's an element of reality and believability in it. So, for example, if I want a new car, I'm not going to say a Range Rover Sport because I know in my gut I'm not there yet. However, I could afford a Kia Sportage. So
I have a Kia Sportage.
Here we go. So it's something that you desire and that you want to achieve, but it's not such a big step away that you almost become disconnected from it. It almost becomes too hard and you dump it, and it becomes almost like an empty affirmation. So set those realistic, what do I want? And then the power in creating a graphic representation of it means that your reticular activating system can then program into what you say you want, what you're picturing you want, and then it goes out and looks for it to bring it into you. And the fact that when you're doing this process, you're coming from a place of longing for it, desiring it, loving it, being passionate, you'll bring it in tenfold. If you look at that image and you go, oh, that'll be nice one day, but not going to happen, guess what? It's not going to happen. So you have to be congruent with that desire and the longing for that image. I'm going to show you mine, by the way. And that way you're going to train your unconscious mind to actually go out and get it, because your conscious mind is the goal setter. So we can set goals all we like, but if we're not in rapport with our unconscious mind, we ain't going to get it. We have to get those two integrated. So I set the scene with creating my vision board, and that's what I'll call it. That's more my vision goals. I bring in the emotion every time I look at it of love and desire and want and passion and all those beautiful emotions and joy. And the last step is doing it all the time. So my current vision goals are probably in 10 places throughout my house. My husband rolls his eyes when he sees it now because it's on the bathroom door, it's on the bathroom mirror. That's how much I am focused on bringing these goals in. And I'm just going to show you it at the moment. So this is my vision goals. And you may be looking at it going, wow, that's pretty fancy. This is a $10 job on Fiverr. So if you don't have a creative bone in your body like I don't, you can send off what you want and get someone else to create it for you for $10. So this is all about what I want in the next sort of 6 to 12 months. And I look at it and I long it and I desire it. And I know it's coming. I feel it in my body because my emotions are congruent with it. My thoughts are congruent with it. And my focus is congruent with it. So if that's inspired you, you've got kids out there maybe that want to create it for you. My children have gone and created their own.
Yes. They could make a TikTok video about it.
Yeah, inspired. Just be mindful as parents. I know this is not the topic, but as parents, please try not to rain on their dreams. Please don't say, oh, to get that, you have to work hard. That's BS. You just have to take inspired action. There's no work hard. Hard's actually deleted from my vocabulary. And my clients know never to use hard and never to use try because they don't exist. So yes, that's my tip too.
I am so in love with everything you're saying. And first of all, I forgot to mention that when you and I met at an event, a speaking event where we were both learners, so we weren't speaking, even though we are speakers, we were both learning. And it's so important. I know you have a love of learning for sure. But you know, you said saying what you want. Everyone who knows me knows I'm obsessed with people saying what they want. And I do this all the time, which means know your intention. So everything you said there is so spot on for me. And the part about creating that, I mean, I use Pinterest. I love Pinterest. I have a board. It was called, 2021. And I just drag things in. And I love doing that. But I think you're right. If you're not connected to it, someone interviewed me, Karen Tui Boyce. She was a guest on the show, our very first one, actually. And she interviewed me the other day. And she said, tell us about goal setting. And I said, I'm more into goal getting than goal setting. So yeah, along the same lines, it's like you can set goals all you want, but if you're not like connected to them, then they're probably not going to come true. So those are some great tips. Thank you. We've got Crystal commenting. Thanks everybody for taking the time to share your tips with us. We've got Catherine Larson. This is exactly what I needed to hear today. Yay. Thanks, Natalie, for talking about the should zone in the head. That's what I do a lot. Yeah. Hey, you know what? If you hear yourself saying, I should do this and I need to do that, I tell people, ditch the words should, need, and just from your vocab. Game changer. Just like you said, Deb, about try and hard, I tell people use empowered languaging. So that's exactly empowered languaging. Instead of saying like just and need, say I'm ready or I want. It's so much more empowered than should. It's great. We're trying to teach our kids that too. It's just catching yourself in those moments when you're saying the disempowered language. All right, let's go to Lauren for tip number 2.
I just want to actually pick up on what Deb said because I really loved that, Deb. And I too have a lot of goals and dreams that are visual, and it's so powerful because of what you said about the reticular activation system. So anyone that's listening that hasn't heard of that, understand that RAS is really the thing that will take the things you focus on and keep presenting those to you. And so I really congratulate you, Deb. That's inspiring seeing that. And one other thing that came to mind in relation is when you've got that big goal, and sometimes it can seem so far away that you feel like, oh, how am I ever going to get there? You can sometimes disconnect from it. But one tip, if you ever find yourself falling into that, those that are listening, is to picture that the goal is at the top of a very tall ladder, and all you need to do right now is to focus on getting to the next rung. And then when you're on that rung, you can focus on getting to the one above it. And eventually you'll be so near the top that that goal won't be far away at all. And before you know it, you will have achieved it. So if that seems a little bit far away, if you've never done a vision board or put your goals and dreams into an image before, and even that seems hard, just take it one step at a time. So thanks, Deb, for sharing that. I really love that. My tip for you today is around, because at the moment we're facing so much uncertainty, and let's face it, life is actually always uncertain, but it's especially highlighted. And so we're getting that stress response because our brain is scanning the world and looking for patterns and not always seeing them. What we want to do right now is focus on building a resilient mindset. So I've got 3 tips for you around a resilient mindset. And these really come from resilience experts like Martin Seligman, who is in the States, who's like the founding father of positive psychology. And I recently heard Dr. Lucy Hone here in New Zealand talking about them, and she did a great TED talk on resilience as well. So number 1 is to focus on what you can control. When there are so many things outside of our control right now, the government's decisions that they're making, and I totally respect and applaud what they are doing, but sometimes they'll be impacting on us, and in the moment we can think, oh, I don't want this to be happening, or oh my goodness, or oh, I'm going to have to wait for 5 more weeks before I can get my hair done. Okay, so Nick, I feel you, but I've got apparently a 5-week wait till I can get my hair done. I could focus on that and get upset about it, but I can focus on what it is that I can control in the moment. So in the moment, you can focus on, do I want to get outside? Do I want to go and hug my children? Do I want to go and make a nutritious snack? Focus on the things that are within your control, and it will help you feel more resilient. Number 2 is to ask yourself constantly, is this helpful or is this harmful? So if you're finding that you're doing something, pause and assess what you're doing. Let's say you're scrolling through a social media feed or checking in on the news really regularly. Let's face it, it's quite repetitive and it may be feeding fear and anxiety. So instead, choose to switch it off and again, go and have a nap, go and spend time with family, phone a friend. Choose to do whatever is helpful for you in the moment. That is hugely powerful. And then the third and last one is to avoid catastrophizing. And catastrophizing is where you jump to the worst possible outcome and then to the next worst possible outcome, and you take it very far. You know, I could go, oh my goodness, my next 4 months of speaking gigs are not happening. Oh no, what's going to happen? You know, is my business going to fall over? Am I not going to be able to pay my team? We've just bought a new house. Oh no, are we not going to meet the mortgage repayments? I'm going to lose my house. What's it going to do to my marriage? You know, I can take it very far. And I know that actually none of those things are very likely at all to happen. And the antidote for catastrophizing, the way to get out of that fear response is with the facts. So replace the fear with the facts. The facts like there is a whole lot of support out there. There are lots of ways to pivot and deliver things differently. The fact that, you know, we've got reserves, for example, that communication is going to be key. We're going to get through this. As a global economy, we have been through recessions before and come back. So if you can focus on the facts, you can reassure yourself in the moment. So those are 3 tips. Focus on what you can control. Ask yourself, is it helpful or harmful? And avoid catastrophizing by focusing on the facts.
Love it. I love that you always give such actionable and catchy tips. I think that's so great. So we will definitely be taking notes and putting those up for you guys. I'm about a week. It takes about a week for me and my team. I actually just hired someone because I'm like, I am just never going to get around to doing it. I'm good at talking, not so much at like writing the notes afterwards. So that's cool. All right, Nick, let's go to you because I know that you've been through a journey. You've probably had to call on resilience a few times yourself. What other tip do you have for people today?
Yeah, I just totally echo what Lauren said there. Like, whether you like or dislike the what's been happening and the way things have been handled, you can't control it. So there's no point in getting upset about the fact that your business has been shut for 4 weeks. Or I got to be honest, the day that alert levels were announced, I got so excited because I knew that there was a massive opportunity with what I've been working on for so long. That all I had to do was figure out the mechanics. And because I was already in that mind frame of like, here's an opportunity, not here's a crazy situation that's going to like affect my life. Like I figured it out so quick and just went bang with it. So I guess, and there was a point about, I think the word adversity came up, and I believe every business owner needs to work on what I call their adversity quotient. So we talk about our emotional intelligence and our intelligence quotient. I believe the adversity quotient is such a powerful tool because it's like, oh shit, that happened. How do I choose to react? What being response able am I going to choose in this situation right now? Am I going to freak out? Am I going to and I've seen over the last 8 weeks all sorts of it, people blaming government, people blaming other businesses, people blaming this, that, their employees, whatever it might be, the Chinese, Trump. You can blame. It's all external. It's all external, and external isn't what we can control. So bringing it back to a motivation perspective, when we understand what we can actually control, that really gives us a massive amount of leverage on what it is that we want. And if we use Deborah's framework of actually thinking, really being honest, though, not like, oh, I want a Lamborghini because you're going to look cool, but what do you really, really want? And if you really take the time to drill down on that, using some tools, using some techniques, and some leverage, it's so easy to achieve with the right mindset. So, and that kind of leads back to my first point about what influences you and what are you really focused on. Yeah, so that would be my second tip, is just really, just be aware of what we can control and how we respond to events, situations, and people.
Yeah, and the point you made about the blaming, I mean, I've heard someone talk about easily human nature. Sometimes we lapse into that, naming, blaming, shaming, and complaining, but it's not productive and it's not empowered. So that's a really good tip. Lauren, do you want to comment? Go ahead.
I really love what Nick said about seeing the opportunity, and it reminded me of something I've been sharing lately with clients. Winston Churchill once said that pessimists see the difficulty in every opportunity, and optimists see the opportunity in every difficulty. And we've been through this huge difficulty, and it's actually giving us this time and space for us to all pause and think and reassess. And the goal is to remain realistic optimists, not pessimists, and not, pie in the sky optimists, unrealistic, but realistic optimists, and look at how can we make the best of the situation. And I'm seeing so many people doing that, and it is incredibly inspiring. So yeah, I mean, you, Natalie, for example, creating this Up Your Brave series, it's amazing. I love it. So I thank you for that.
No problem. Well, the interesting thing is it was going to be live events, right? I was like, go-to girls coming back. It might not be networking night. Well, ironically, I'm having a networking night tonight. It's online, which I've never done before. So you have life throw you a situation, and then you just respond. And, Nick and I talked a lot about pivoting and tweaking, your business, but we do need to pivot and tweak our mindset as well. So I feel like that's really what we're honing in on today. What's that?
You've got to do that first before you
definitely. It is key.
Reframing your mindset before you can even think about how am I going to shift my business. And those that have done it well, I think are going to be in an awesome position going back into to trading again as of sort of today. But those that haven't are going to be in for a reality check.
Yeah, totally. I was up the other night. I don't know if you guys ever have these nights where you're up at 2 a.m, busy brain, lots of ideas. I was thinking about mindset and motivation, and I was thinking, it's interesting because people, I feel, can get motivated and therefore take action for one of 3 reasons. It's a new concept I'm toying with. Number 1 is they feel inspired. They see someone speak, they watch a TED Talk, they read a book, they see a quote, and they're like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to run that marathon, or I'm going to change the world. The second one is fired, meaning not job, but fired up. Like they're fired up. Either they're super excited or they're super frustrated. And either way, what happens is it compels them to take action. So you might have heard me say so I have a massive doTERRA business. Speaking of mindset, essential oils, that's great. But I'm like, I still, with my go-to girl business, work with speakers, work with business owners, because I get so fired up. Like I love getting them. I got one of my girls was on the cafe the other day. Like I get so excited helping people be in the limelight and shine the limelight on them. So that's fired up, like in a positive way. On the flip side, you may have heard me a year ago, I launched a video series called Impact Entrepreneurs, where I interviewed a whole bunch of people because I was so effing done with the suicide rate in New Zealand. I'm like, are you kidding me? And I get really rah about it. So that's the other side of it, is like frustration. And either of those things usually will inspire people to take action. And the third one, so we had inspired, fired, I like rhyming. And the third one is wired, meaning hardwired. So some people I feel are just more hardwired to, when they have a goal, they're going to make a plan, they're going to map it out, they're going to stick with it. And that is definitely my husband to a T. He is Mr. Dedication, perseverance. But I always go, but hang on a second. Is the goal, do you still want that goal? Or are you just doing it because you said you would, or you think you should? So I'm always going, it's great to have goals, but make sure they're your goals. Make sure they're not should goals, right? So I think this is a great time for us to think about, am I motivated? But what is it that's motivating me? And am I heading to where I actually want to go? Coming back to the intentions. Something to ponder. All right, we're going to do the final round. This is something I added a few shows ago. It's called the What's Cool About You. So here's where it comes from. I've been reading this book called Millionaire Success Habits. You might have heard of Dean Gregozzi. I'm sure Nick has. You probably all have. Anyway, and in this book, this activity that his coach did with him when he was feeling quite low, and that's why I'm mentioning it today. I would love everyone watching. I want to ask you, everyone watching, what's cool about you? Go ahead and comment in the chat. What is cool about you? Maybe it's something you've achieved. Maybe it's a cool talent that you have, party trick. Maybe it's a sport or an activity that you used to do when you were young, that nobody knows about. Whatever it might be, comment and let us know. I love this round, but the purpose of this is not just connection, but it's also confidence. So the coach did this activity with a student because he was feeling low. Because when you start thinking about what is cool about me, it actually raises your confidence, it raises your energy and your vibration, and you start seeing the good. You start seeing the cool things that make you you, and you realize that you do have talents, you do have gifts. And I think this is a great time for everyone to be recalling what is cool about them and sharing it with each other, because it's really interesting. I'm going to do it tonight as an activity at my networking event. All right, so Deb, let's start with you. What's cool about you? And then if there's anything coming up in your business you want to tell us, and where can we find you online?
Cool. What's cool about me is, it took me a while to come up with this, but it's really clear now. What I personally believe is cool about me is that I'm emotionally checked in. I'm checked in with my emotions. I listen to my emotions and I allow myself to feel the emotions, not in a way of wallowing in them, going, oh my God, poor me, why is this always happening to me? In a way of, hang on, what is this emotion trying to tell me? What is this emotion telling me I need to look at in my life? And when you can actually look at life that it's happening for you instead of to you, you change from that victim and the blaming, pointing finger at everyone else, to being in total control and total empowerment of creating your reality and the life you want to live. If I was to die today, I would go, thank you very much. I have an extraordinary life. And I don't know how many women out there or men out there or kids out there can say that. And it's because everything I do every day has purpose, it has meaning, and it comes from love, and it comes from compassion, and it comes from gratitude. And it cost me money to do the training, but it cost me nothing to maintain. Just the motivation and desire to know that how I show up in the world is teaching my children how to show up in the world. My relationship with my husband, trust me, I'll be honest here, it was pretty sexless and disconnected a few years ago. Now it's off the planet, and all I did was focused on who I was being, and the rest was a ripple effect, almost by osmosis. My world changed, and everyone's like, how did you get to here? I can't tell you, because all change and behavior happens unconsciously. But what's cool about me now is I've learned the tools to teach others what I know. So I'm an NLP master coach, practitioner, teach hypnotherapy, I teach timeline therapy, I teach all the things as well as coaching. And then I get to coach women who are fed up with feeling small and stuck in life. They don't even know who they are. They don't even know what their highest values are. And so they're not feeling fulfilled. Like, I have the privilege of doing that every day, waking up going, this is what I call a job. It almost feels like surreal. So I think I've really cracked it. Lottery smottery, that means nothing to me. Money is not my motivation. Honestly, money is not my motivation. When I can see another human being illuminate right in front of me without me doing the work, just asking questions, I'm a happy lady, if I can use that word. So if anything I've said, if you're struggling, if you resonate with any of this, or if you know someone who is similar to the path I've walked, please reach out. Please book an Illuminator call with me on www.deborahworkman.com. Coach, speaker, trainer, and just a huge heart. So thank you.
Thank you. You know what you are? You're also a smile maker. I cannot watch you without just beaming, because I just you are, and I feel like you're living in the impact zone. So when I do talk about my zones, the disconnected zone, you used to be there, the should zone, the frustration zone, but where we want to get to is the impact zone, where you're living your life by empowered choices and intentional actions. And as a result, your personal impact factor ripples down to others. Babe, I think you actually live there. So I'm excited for you. That's super cool. Thank you for joining us today.
One more thing to share with that. It's coming to me, so I'm going to trust that my intuition wants to say it. Please know that anyone listening and the panel today, no one is ever broken, but our beliefs are. Change the beliefs, change the person. So just if you ever feel broken, no, it's just your beliefs, and you just need to reach out. So thank you.
Yay, that's so beautiful. Thank you. I'm going to read a few of these because we're getting some good ones coming in. Jessica, I do rock and roll with my partner. Shailash says, positivity is the only way you can initiate or create and feel like doing things, or else you end up only thinking about doing things. Yes. Crystal, she completed her master's in volcanology. Something a bit different. Indeed, I barely could even read that word. Catherine says, I'm multi-talented. I have the ability to do so many different things, and I learn them easily. Love that positive affirmation. Joe McGregor, I taught my dog to get a beer from the fridge. Oh yeah, all these life skills. All right, Lauren, we'll go to you for what's cool about you, what's coming up, and how can we connect?
Oh, thanks, Nat, and beautiful. Thanks for those words, Debs. You're really inspiring. I love it. The thing that I thought of that's kind of cool about me that's is not quite as deep as that, and that is just that I'm bilingual in French and English. And because my husband is in the New Zealand Army, we've been married 17 years, coming up 18 next week. And in that time, we've moved house 11 times, 6 times internationally. So it's been a huge blessing because we've got to live in Paris together. We've got to live in Canberra, Australia. We've done Ottawa, Canada, Wellington. We've done capital cities of the world. And so each time that I've moved my business, I've been able to pivot and change. But it's been amazing speaking French because when we lived in Ottawa, it's bilingual. And so for my first time ever, I actually started speaking and presenting in both English and French to some of the government organizations over there. So that was a bit like my TED Talk, terrifying but exhilarating. So that's just one little fun fact. So les francophones, on peut parler français si vous voulez. So if anyone speaks French, I'll always like to practice my French. But yeah, if anyone would like to connect, what I really love doing right now is helping people thrive. And the way that I mostly do that is with organizations, because we know that if people thrive within an organization, that flows on to help the whole organization thrive. So I work a lot with executives and HR managers and leaders to help them create a positive, energized workplace culture where it's normal for people to get up and snack on exercise, for example, which could have been a third tip. You can go and watch the TED Talk if you want to. Just look up snackonexercise.com. And that's a little idea I have around taking 4 minutes a day to get moving and realizing huge benefits for yourself, for your mindset, for your mental well-being, and for your productivity and innovation. So I have lots of innovative ideas that are science-backed, but with real practical outcomes to help people thrive both in and out of work. And I love doing that with organizations. So probably the best place to start, if anyone's interested, you can head over and grab a copy of my book, Live Well, Work Well, which gives you a whole lot of checklists around my 5 Live Well principles, and really practical, easy. If you're a checklist person, you can go through and look at quick wins of ways that you can implement more of a positive, energized workplace culture in your workplace. So if you're not in the leadership position yourself, send it through to your HR manager, get them to check it out. And that's at laurenparsonswellbeing.com. So just head there and enter your details and I'll send the ebook straight out to you. Yeah, and I'd love to connect. I'm also on all the social channels. So if anyone has questions, connect in with me on LinkedIn or ask any questions below and I'll come back and answer them on this post. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
I'll also put all your guys' links as well up in the show notes as well. Hey, Lauren, I do think of you quite often because when I'm heating up my Wheatie bag, I snack on exercise. I do squats. So isn't that cool? I'm like, oh yeah, Lauren, snacking on exercise. Instead of just standing there waiting for 2 minutes, I like doing my squats. Thinking of you. Mm-hmm. Very cool. Now, Lauren, you also have Thrive TV. So can you mention that?
Yeah, so I started a podcast and TV show that's at thrivetvshow.com. So I do interviews with a range of experts one-on-one around boosting your health, energy, and productivity. So hopefully I can get Deb and Nick on there. Because we haven't met before. It's a real pleasure to meet you guys and hear your wisdom. But yeah, we've got weekly episodes coming out at thrivetvshow.com and it's on iTunes and Spotify as well.
Amazing. I love that you mentioned that too, because as always, I get so excited about I've done lots of interviews. Obviously, I've done 200 podcasts, but I love the magic of having a panel and actually introducing people who haven't met before and then the synergy that comes from it. I get excited about that. So let's go to Nick for what's cool about you, what's coming up, and how can we connect?
Awesome. What's cool about me? I'm like I love to learn things, and I spent so much of my time doing training courses. I'm NLP prac. I've done Tony Robbins. I'm a firewalker. Like I've done so much of that stuff. And I just last year I taught myself Chinese, Zhishui, self-taught Chinese. Just because I could. It was something to learn and something to do with my brain power. And I figured out how to learn. So I was like, oh, I can do that. So I guess I just really I love testing the limits, whether it's mentally or obviously I'm a CrossFit athlete and that's my jam. And I love pushing the barriers mentally and physically as well. So that's what I think is cool, is that I'm always pushing myself to do more, work a bit better, stronger, harder, tougher, whatever it might be. Just and I feel you talked about the impact zone. I feel like what I'm doing with my business group, which I'm going to you'll put into the notes anyway. But this New Zealand Small Business Owners Forum, it's now 7,300 members, and you know, my whole focus with that is how can I help business owners to level up. So you know, we see business owners at different phases and different levels of emotional development around their business and around the way they handle themselves. And I'm looking at how I can best send a message to these people to help them to shift up to the next level up. So one of the things that I'm working on quite closely with a buddy of mine, Jung, who you guys may know, we're putting together a mastermind program that we're planning to launch by the end of May. So there will be, you know, kind of like a hand-holding masterminding situation that's kind of closed doors, so people can obviously be open and vulnerable and really discuss what it is that they're doing. But there'll also be a training component that goes with that. So I'm pretty excited about launching all of that. Yeah, so that's me, and I do. I'm gonna have to make like a stage right because I've got a class that starts in 14 minutes. But
no worries. Where can we find you online, Nick? What's the name of your group if people want to join?
So New Zealand Small Business Owners Networking and Ideas Forum. But I'm pretty sure if you just type New Zealand Small Business Owners, it's probably the first one that comes up. That's probably where I spend most of my time. Yeah, or my LinkedIn, but I'm not big on the LinkedIn platform. It's just not my platform. Yeah.
You're on Insta. We'll find you. Don't worry. We'll find you.
I've got to get another Insta because my Instagram is just all CrossFit. So if you're not interested in that, you're going to be like, food, because I love to cook. Oh man. Yeah, that's
another thing that's cool about you. All right, I know you got to go. What I'm going to do is, as always, thank you so much, my beautiful guests. Please stay there. I know Nick might have to go. What I'm going to do is carry on and let you guys know what's coming up for me and what kind of shows you can expect coming up as well. So thanks, guys, for being on the show. That's super awesome. I will pop you guys over there. So it's funny, every week coming up with what's cool about me. Obviously, I've got to do this twice a week. But I thought of one the other day that you made me think of. Sorry, Lauren, is the France thing. I actually represented Canada on the cross country team in France when I was in high school. So there we go, a little bit of French connection. But back in the day when I was a really good runner, now my lungs are burning and I can't keep up with my kids. It's all good. So here's what's coming up for me. I already mentioned the networking event. So if you're watching this today, you can quickly grab a ticket. Otherwise, hey, I might do it again. I was thinking I could easily do this every other month, for example. And it's all around creating connections, collaborations, and courage, which interestingly, used to be 3 words that I used in my business all the time. My focus at the moment is really helping people to amplify their impact, their business, and their wellness. So I love that today the topics that we've covered have kind of touched on all of those things. So what's coming up for me is also, of course, my Amplify membership, which I'm loving. But I do this thing called the Impact Strategy Assessment. So that's really for speakers or business owners who want to get into the impact zone. They want to have the impact, the income, and really make an positive impact on the world. So I'll put the link for that too below. So here's what's coming up on the show, you guys. If you haven't been watching it, we've got next week, mindfulness and self-love is our topic. We've also got creating the new normal. What does that look like to you? And building resilience. Those are just a few of the topics coming up. I'll probably look at doing another keeping the love alive because the marriage relationship topic is awesome. And also another one around supporting kids, particularly right now when they're going back to school. It's an interesting time. Some kids are going to be so excited. Other kids will be feeling super anxious and everything in between. So these are some of the things we're going to cover. But as always, totally open to your guys' thoughts. What topics, which guests would you like to see? And we can make it happen. Thanks so much for joining us. And until next time, this is Natalie Cutler-Welsh. Remember to up your brave, say what you want, and make it happen. Thanks, guys. See you.
Thanks so much, Nat.